Hi, it's Coach Michelle. I had a request to look at Rockfish, which is looks like it's not a nationwide uh, not a nationwide franchise. It's just in Dallas and Houston. But hopefully it can be applicable to whatever you're thinking about doing this weekend. So I'm going to menus, and almost every restaurant has to have their menu online because people order so often now online. So they have to put their menu online. Of course, most of the time they don't have their nutritional information, but as you will see, I actually found this restaurant, at least an old version of it. You can tell it's a little bit older, but at least it helps a little bit. So first of all, just what I can find through the menu. There's dinner and all the other different options. Now, gluten-free sometimes it often is where I start, even though gluten-free by definition does not equal low carb. You can have gluten-free bread that's higher carb than what the bread that is substituted. So I occasionally have tried gluten-free just to see if that helps with some digestive issues, but in general, I'm not pursuing gluten-free because of Timothy Mama. And so I do eat occasional sprouted bread and the Joseph's pitas and stuff like that. So anyway, my point is gluten-free though, at least you know that they're not putting flour in sauces. So they're going to pick things on here that are probably not sauces, right? So this is a really good way to get at a glance some good options. It's interesting, New England clam chowder has no flour in it then. So that, you'd have to ask them, but if there's no flour in it, that might be all fat and low carb. It might be on plan then. It might just be good stuff like cream and seafood and no starchy carbs added, or not much to thicken it. So that you probably have to ask the waiter, but that's a good sign that it's actually on the gluten-free menu. So what else? We've got Mexican shrimp cocktail, and if you have it with cucumber or celery sticks, as opposed to corn chips, then that is pretty good on-plan choice. Now the salsa might have sugar in it. That would be the only source of sugar. But hey, we're trying to pick the best options we have because you're going to live your life, and you should eat out with your family or friends socially. So I'm just giving you what I think are the best, closest good options to stay as close to on plan as possible, as best as we know, as we can do. So that would be good without chips. Maybe the clam chowder is good then. And then of course salads, dressings are always the question, how much sugar are in them. So I typically just have them on the side, and you really, if you don't pour the whole thing on or have them do it, you really don't need half as much. Or I can get away with maybe a quarter of it or an eighth of it of what they serve me. So I would always do dressing on the side and just dab a little bit of it and see how little you can use. But buttermilk ranch is probably pretty good. Obviously, all the dressings could have sugar in them, but just try your best to do it do the dressing or the sauce on the side and just dip it a little bit. So this salad looks great. Then otherwise, this salad looks great. Remoulade hopefully is pretty tart, so hopefully not too much sugar there. And then this one, the problem, of course, would be dried cranberries, because dried fruit really concentrates the sugar of the natural sugar in the fruit. Plus, they can be marinated in sugar. So if I were to get this, I'd say, you got it's more like an S helper, because you got the fats of the feta and the nuts, but you have the carbs in the apple. So it might be an S helper and the fat and the bacon. So an S helper is fine. So I would have this and just, like I said, have the dressing on the side and try to either have them not include the cranberries or just not eat them. You can just eat around them. And of course, always add protein to your salad. So then you got these fish market. This is awesome. I mean, this is the best kind of way to go with any place. You can have your protein without a sauce, grilled or blackened. That's perfect. And then two sides. You have total control of what you're eating there. So whether it's seafood here, and then your two sides would be, look at these great sides. The good options for an S meal would be broccoli, or the spinach, or the asparagus, or the Brussels sprouts. Any of those would be wonderful. And then as far as these toppings here, look at this. This looks wonderful, other than the rice. That's all you'd have to do is either eat around the rice or have them see if they can keep the rice part out. You can eat around it or just have a little bit of it. Oh, and then this tropical one, you got the mango, so you'd have the carbs from the mango and the fat and avocado. And you just dabble the sriracha, as long as it's a drizzle, even if there's sugar in it, it's not going to be too much. So I would just do, that would be wonderful too, just without the white rice. Up here from the shell, now these all, that looks good with horseradish, that's fine. Corn and potatoes, I don't know if you can take that out of this dish. It might be integral to the dish. So if that's the case, then that's way too high carb with corn and potatoes. So I wouldn't get those. Yep, not that one. But this one, look at this. This is a good one. A little bit of white wine and spicy marinara. I think that would be fine. So I think that's a good option there. And then you got seafood enchiladas. That's never going to be low carb between the corn or flour tortillas. But these, look at this, is perfect. These two are perfect. All you have to do is substitute the smashed potatoes with one of these other wonderful sides that are low carb. Okay, so there's lots of great options in Rockfish. Plus, strangely enough, I guess I just Googled it. Let's see if I can. Rockfish seafood grill nutrition, I think is how I did it. And yeah, right there. And this popped up. I can tell from the options, some of these, it must be an older version of the menu. And so not all of it's applicable anymore, but it gives you a good little insight. And one of the things I really want to focus on to show y'all is these sides. If I can make it a little bigger, right? So look at the sides. Apple cider slaw. I figured, because I've found recipes before for slaw, for coleslaw, and it typically requires some kind of sweetener. And look at the carbs there. That's huge for a little serving of slaw. Otherwise, if you could make it with a sugar-free, sweetener, then it would be wonderfully good for you with the apple cider and the coleslaw, or the cabbage and the coleslaw. But that's way too high a carb. So that confirms for me what I figured, and that's why I recommended. Look, the spinach is only 3. Sugar snap peas is a little more because they're a sweeter green, but still, I would say that's fine. Of course, black beans has a lot of carbs, but asparagus is great. And then, of course, these are higher carb, way higher carb there, which is why you wouldn't want to combine potatoes with corn. Woo, that's a big one. So that's just to show you, kind of confirm what I was thinking on the side. So, and this is buried. This is because it's an old version. It's buried in their website. You can't find it on your menu, through the menu, but you never know what you might find when you Google the restaurant plus the nutrients. And there's also apps out there like my Fitness Pal, which it's not perfect because it's user submitted, and I don't know who these users are that come up with the macros for restaurants, but you can at least get a feel for what might be a good option at your restaurant a lot of times by using MyFitnessPal or another app like that. You can actually pull up specific dishes at your restaurant. In general, my take-home message is enjoy yourself. It's the weekend, but if you can plan ahead and again use your prefrontal cortex to map out ahead of time what you're going to order, then when you get there, you can relax and not worry about being pressured or have no time to read the menu and be overwhelmed with all of the choices and try to figure out what's a on plan or nearly on plan option. So do it ahead of time and you'll be much better off to enjoy your meal. So I hope this helps. Let me know, obviously, as always, if you have any questions.